Hey everyone, Shane from Mossy Creek Fly Fishing bringing you another fly tying video. Today I'm going to tie another one of my favorite smallmouth flies. You can fish it for trout as well, the Murdich Minnow. So pretty popular fly. I do a couple little different things in here, just kind of getting the weight to where I want it. If you watch my Tequila video, you know that I really like a heavy fly. So I'm going to make this one a little bit bulletproof and use a little bit different hook just for my liking. So let's get her going. So the hook I'm going to tie with is a 1/0 beast hook. So the reason I like this hook is because of the gap in the length of the shank. So the B10S, which this fly is tied on, is a super popular hook. I've got nothing wrong with it. I just prefer the platform and the hooking percentage that I feel like I get with this Beast series. So it's, once again, kind of like a big game hook, pretty stout, great hook point, and I personally feel like I get a better hookup to land ratio with my smallmouth. So going to start out with 35 thousandths lead, and this I tend to weight more towards the middle of the hook shank, and once we finish this fly up you'll see why. So I'm going to bring it to about there. I'm going to trim this off because I don't want too much, and it's going to go on your shank a little bit. So that's about where I like it, just in front of the hook point and behind the eye here. So I'm going to start off with my flat wax nylon again and get a good base, and I'm also going to jump in front of this lead to keep it from sliding up and down the hook shank. So that's about all I need right there. So next thing, trim that tag in on the thread, and I'm going to get some large bucktail in white just for this fly. So chartreuse, obviously, pink is a great color, yellow, white is super popular, but I find that white can be too bright some days. So you might want to think of a gray or a tan or like a cream color, just to show them something different. I feel like white's super popular, and for very good reason. It's just some days white's too bright. So I'm gonna come in here and get a decent sized little chunk of the bucktail, trim her off close to the base. So we'll grab this, kind of pluck out all the little under fur, so the smaller stuff. I want to, the bulk right here, I want to be what I'm actually tying in. I don't want a lot of this extra fluff in here that's just going to end up coming out anyway. So just give it a quick little brush with the fingers. Next, what I like to do, so if you can see that, I feel like this is very straight, and I don't want that. I want to taper. So I'm going to grab the tips of the fibers here and pull out some of it in the middle. So just from that right there, you can see how much of a taper I got just from pulling the fibers out in the middle of that hank. So got some shorter stuff here, got some longer stuff right here. That's what I want. So that's ideal. So I'm gonna bring it in here, lay it even with the hook shank. I'm gonna gradually get tighter with my wraps and move backwards, really cinch that in. So looking good here. Trim this excess here. All right, now I'm gonna grab my flash, which any of these flies, whatever combination you prefer. I really like an olive flash, and when this fly gets done, you'll kind of see it gives a natural dark on top, light on bottom, like you'd see your typical bait fish. I don't like to go heavy with my flash. All your minnows and stuff, they're not all flash. They got a little flash when they kick, so not a ton up here. Certain waters, I'm sure your darker waters, your tannic waters, a lot of flash is good. Around here, the water's typically clear. It's nice to be able to see your fly in that flash. Just don't always think it's necessary. Sometimes I think it's a little too bright and a little too loud. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna go just a little bit longer than my bucktail, and I'm gonna tie that in here. So I'm gonna leave this. Next, I'm gonna take angel fiber. You can use Nylon, you can use Parapost, any of this synthetic stuff that has a little crinkle to it. I like it. That's gonna be your, kind of like your gills or your fins, whatever you wanna think that is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a little shank out of here, pull that out. And what I do is get a nice long section. Yeah, so here we go. I'm gonna cut that out. So I'm using these synthetic scissors. They're kind of serrated on the inside, which really make cutting this stuff a lot easier. So what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna cut it in about, I don't know, that might be 2-inch sections. We'll go ahead and do that. So 1, 2, and then I have a third left over here. So what I have, so I took that one section and I cut it into 3. So what you can do here is you kind of even up the ends here and clean up some of it. I don't want it to be super straight. So just cleaning it up some. And what I do here is kind of put those fibers just past the bend of the hook. And just wrapping. So what I did there is I took those fibers and I kind of wrapped it around the hook shank. I didn't spin it. I just tried to really tie it on there to get it to go around. So now what I'm gonna do is match up the ends. So what I'm trying to do here is, let's say these fibers were too short or too long. If you position your thread farther up, you're shortening these fibers to where they will even up or be longer. It all depends on where you tie them in at. So I'm just gonna kind of fold everything back, and you see it's pretty well even, at least on my side it is. So once this is to my liking, I'm grabbing all this material here and the flash, and I'm gonna tie that in right here. I folded it back. It's almost like tying in a reverse bucktail, and tie that in right there. So I'm just gonna take this long section that was originally like this, that came from the tail, that I've now tied back. I'm gonna trim it just past the ice wing, or the angel fiber, whatever you wanna call it. So next is chenille. You're like, okay, well, there's no chenille. I don't see any chenille on this Murdich Minnow. If I were to tie in this Estaz right now, this body would be very slender, which that might be what you want. I like a little bit of bulk on there, because when I tie this fly and you have bulk here, I really get a lot of side to side action when I strip it. And I think that giving that a little bit of extra bulk underneath will give you that side to side action. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna get some Estaz, I'm gonna cut off a piece, make it a little bit easier for me to work with. So I'm gonna go ahead and tie this in right here. Once again, this stuff is directional. So I'm gonna tie that right to my last thread wrap right there. So you can see it's all going this way. So I'm gonna lay that there. Next is I'm gonna tie in my chenille. Loop that in. Bring my thread forward. So this is going to be here as bulk. And you can see as I'm wrapping it on the hook shank, it is creating bulk already. So from the lead compared to what that chenille is doing for me is adding bulk. Also, I have found that when I'm tying in this Estaz, when you're tying it on top of this chenille, it's sinking into the chenille, which creates a better platform for that Estaz to be on, because Estaz kind of slips up and down just like a lot of materials do. So I'm going to bring that about to the hook eye and start tying it off here. Be careful not to cut your thread. Doesn't have to be pretty right here. Okay, so we're good. Nice little thread base. Now I'm going to bring my chenille forward, and you can see right here it's really biting into that chenille. That Estaz is biting in. Great platform. So I'm going to make these wraps closer than I would like the tequila fly that I tied, or like a golden retriever. And just as I'm tying it in, I'm pulling these materials back. Not super close wraps, just keeping that stuff going in the right direction. You can see how this fly is starting to really take shape. So all the way up. So this is why I did not take that lead all the way up. So if I took that lead all the way up from me originally putting it on there and bringing it all the way up to that, I would have no gap right there at the eye. So creating a little bit of gap when you're putting that lead on the hook shank is crucial in my opinion to give you a little bit cleaner hook eye here. So a couple wraps, finish it off, pull that material back, get it tied in there, trim that. So now I want to give it a couple whip finishes. Just kind of push this thread back, cinch it down. So now what I'm going to do is going to use these stick-on eyes, but I'm not going to just stick them on. So 6.0 in the ice color. Just a little teeny tiny dab of Zap-a-Gap. Just so I'm gonna go like right here. So I'm gonna go right here. So what I wanna do is I'm pretty much gonna put the eye on and just kind of slide it back to where it seats in. So a little trick that'll help you with these eyes is to have like the old wooden clothespins that have the spring. So when you're put your eyes on here, you can put the clothespin on and it'll really seat those eyes down. So just a little teeny tiny dab. I'm gonna come in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna place it just behind the hook eye, and I'm gonna creep it back just a little bit. I'm laying those materials back. There we go. So also, I think that chenille gives you a better base for that glue to set, and not just the chenille. So same thing on this side. Just behind the eye, creep it back, about even. All right. So that's when I would put the clothespin on and really get those eyes seated. So they're setting real well right now. So after the eyes are on, I'll take my scissors and just give it more of a streamlined face right here. And that's how I tie the Murdich Minnow. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.